So we're talking about superannuation taxes and the changes that Labor are proposing. There are a lot of different assumptions and numbers you can feed into super, but we want to try to understand exactly what this change could mean for someone, for example, in retirement phase. So remember, Labor's proposal is to change the tax treatment only for those accounts of $3 million plus. So $3 million would be unaffected. So this is an example of an account that would be unaffected. In retirement phase, if you're 65 to 74 years of age, let's assume $150,000 is drawn down. So that's what you're living off that particular year. We're assuming 4% earnings, $120,000 is what you earn back. At the moment, you're taxed $6,500. You're only taxed on amounts by the middle of this year on those earnings above 1.9 million. What this all means is you've got $150,000 to live on, and your nest egg is drawn down overall in a net sense $36,500, and then you ending up there with $2.963 million. So in other words, you're not having to draw down much on your nest egg. If you up how much you want to live on, of course, all of that changes. Then we go to $4 million. Now, these are the current rules. Let's assume a $200,000 drawdown. You've got more money. You want to live on a bit more. $160,000 is what we're assuming you earn at a conservative 4%. This is the preservation stage. You'd be taxed at the moment $14,000. Your nest egg would be whittled down $54,000. Still, at the end of that first year, if you're 65, for example, you have $3.946 million in your super account. You're going okay. What would be the change under Labor? Again, a $4 million account. We're assuming the same things. $200,000 to live on, $160,000 is what you're earning, $19,000 is the tax. So there's a bit more tax there. Your nest egg is whittled down a bit more at $59,000. You end up with $3.941 million at the end of that period. So what's the net effect? Again, this is just one assumption and various figures on earnings and so on, but you can see on these accounts, $4 million, it is relatively modest. $54,000 would be how much tax you'd pay at the current marginal tax rate, which is 15% flat onwards from $1.9 million. That would be $59,000 from 2025 when it becomes a marginal tax rate above $3 million. So this is what Labor talks about when they say relatively modest on these sorts of accounts. The interesting part about this is it's not indexed. So even though a $3 million account is a lot of money right now, it won't be as much in 20, 30 years. So do Labor have any plans on indexing at any point? We'll talk about that later on this hour with Stephen Jones.